invented algebra. The number zero actually, the Arabs.
Well, Arabs also need to one-up each other. One, I have a better one. Zero. I just invented zero. Take that.
Exactly. It came before the one. Before you even thought of the one, I had the zero.
Hello and welcome to Cleopodtra. I'm Christy Vanna.
And I'm Lynn Molly, and this is a podcast about two Middle Eastern comedy queens, self-proclaimed, on an expedition to dig up the funny from the first generation experience.
We are so excited to introduce our guest today, Ms. Reem Edan. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. Just survived LA traffic, and I am here.
That's so brave of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you here because I actually don't know a lot about you. And I want to actually get my own friend intel about sort of your...
Did you just say you're trying to get intel on me?
I said friend intel.
Friend intel. Okay. You've been indoctrinated.
Saying intel is ominous regardless. I thought that if I said friend first, it would...
Friend tell.
This is already a bad first date. Like, thank you so much for swiping right. I need some more intel.
I'm just going to quickly go to the bathroom. Never come
The
back.
door's locked.
Podcast over.
Hello and welcome to Cleopodtra. No, I'm just kidding. But as you know, this is a podcast where we like to talk about people's first generation experiences and their journeys in comedy and life. What do we need to know about you to understand Reem?
What a broad question and delicious question. Thank you. Intel time. What do you need to know about me? Well, I'm a stand-up comedian, content creator, writer, actor, 1099er, gig worker. What up? I'm Iraqi-American, so my parents immigrated here from Iraq in like the late 1980s. And they actually moved here with no intention of moving here. Like my dad was a student and they were just planning on like having the kids, getting a degree, going back. And then they got stuck here because of the Iraq war. And I've been here ever since. So, yeah.
A lot of people we've been rewinding back. How did your parents meet? What's their kind of backstory?
Oh, okay. So kind of scandalous. No, not really. But so my dad is like one of like 10. And my mom was friends with his younger sister. So he started studying in the United States and would come back. And then on one of his trips back, he was picking up his sister from school. And then they gave my mom a ride. And then they went to go get ice cream. I told you, scandal. And then it was kind of like the whole like looking in like the back mirror thing. And then my mom says she had no idea that he was going to come ask for her hand in marriage. Which, by the way, that's all it took. He was just like... I made eye contact and it felt good. And then they're like, do you want to get married? Or like, we've been very intimate.
What was this ice cream place?
Exactly. So that's how they met. Yeah.
Wow.
And then he had to go back for his scholarship. And I think he only had like a month left. And so he was like, do you want to do this? We'd have to get married real quick and then go. Like pick up, leave, go to the United States. And then she was like, yeah, okay. And so they did it so fast. Like they had a very quick wedding. Which is funny because like my mom is like this super fashionista, like very elegant woman. And so like in my mind, like you would think that she'd have this like amazing wedding, which she probably would have if she had time to like put one together. So it was a quick wedding and a nice, cute little ceremony in the backyard. But yeah, so it was very, very quick.
I feel like it's time to give her that wedding.
You know what? I suggested that they renew their vows, and my mom was on board, and my dad was like, renew vow? He got so mad at us. He's like, it's American bullshit.
They aren't old to begin with.
I was like, we'll have a party. I'll make a video on TikTok. And he's like, no. He got upset.
Our love is not your content.
Exactly. I think he was more upset about wasting money. I think that's really what it was. He was like, I should pay full price? No.
I guess renewing vows is kind of a capitalistic endeavor now that I think about it.
I mean, I didn't realize that it's not like a driver's license, but I guess it is. I don't know. You should have to take like you know how you have to take continuing education if you're a doctor or a lawyer. Should make you do that if you're married.
Do they make you do that as a doctor and a lawyer?
Yeah, you have to keep taking your boards, and then you have something called MCLEs, continuing education credits to be a lawyer, to continue.
That's cool. You think they should do that with marriages?
Yes.
Arab weddings?
Yes, exactly.
You didn't love him back then, but do you love him now?
Yes. I mean, that's a good reality show pitch right there.
There is,
I mean,
yeah.
everyone has to go to therapy or some sort of game show to reestablish their compatibility.
Although I feel like with most Arab parents, that wouldn't be a thing. Like, I don't know. My parents actually love each other and like are lovey-dovey, but I don't know. Are your parents into each other still?
My parents aren't super lovey-dovey in front of us, but they're a really good team.
Oh, they're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like a real partners.
Oh, that's good.
I don't want to say crime in relation to Arabs on a podcast.
Intel, crime. What's next?
I know. Should we start over? No, but that's true. A lot of people have like, you know, arranged marriages from our parents' generation. And so it does make sense that people weren't like 100% on the nobody was trying to guess what their astrological sign was or doing these like insane compatibility tests.
My parents had the same thing as you where they, my dad was going to school and there was 2 weeks after they met.
No
and got
way.
Married. Yeah. And it makes me think that maybe it's kind of a better option than what we're doing in America because we're overthinking it maybe.
We really are. Like, I think personality, we don't need it. I think we just should really go like, hey, where are you going to school? Okay, that works for me. I think that really is a better solution.
I mean, Arabs are very good at logistics, so that's probably why everything...
Because they can't seem to get to my house on time. So what logistics are you talking
yeah,
about?
That's true.
She means math.
I meant like building the pyramids.
Oh, sure.
I meant algebra.
I was like, you mean like logistics of like how to transport goods from another country without having to claim it on your immigration?
Right. No.
Great at logistics, yeah.
We all have different definitions of logistics. Like math and paper, ring a bell.
Algebra. We invented algebra. The number 0, actually, the Arabs.
I feel like that's an Arab thing, right?
Yeah, they remind me of that often.
All the time.
I don't understand why I'm so bad at math, given.
That's funny. Yeah. It's in your bloodline.
I know, yeah.
Well, Arabs also need to one-up each other. So they're like, one, I have a better one. 0. I just invented 0. Take that.
Exactly. It came before the 1. Before you even thought of the 1, I had the 0.
Notice my nuanced accents. My parents' accent is different than my Arab accent. Thank you so much. Thank you. Because people on social media are like, why is your Arab accent so bad and you sound Indian? Because I'm trying to do my parents' accent, which people don't appreciate.
Lighter, yeah.
Yes.
It's true. I tend to overdo it and over-exaggerate.
The accent you do sounds nothing like my parents, but also your parents are Egyptian, mine are Syrian, and then I feel like yours even sounds different.
Mine sound different. The accent I do of them doesn't even sound like them. It sounds somewhere in between, which is ironic because I'm really good at accents. But I just can't do their Arab accent. I can do like an Egyptian accent or like a Lebanese, but I can't do whatever my parents sound like.
Maybe.
Weird.
I don't think I've ever heard you try to do...
Oh, I don't do accents.
Oh, okay.
I'm not an actor. I can barely speak publicly, but I can write really pretty words. So.
Can you? Do you write in Arabic?
Oh, no. I mean, I can. I'm just a writer.
Oh,
I wish I could write in
There it
Arabic.
is.
I can't speak in Arabic.
You can or you can't?
Can't.
But you know a couple words.
Yeah, I know every food.
Nice. There it is. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we need to know.
That's the only
really,
thing
yeah.
my parents want to hear from me
That's
also. But then what did your dad study?
So he has 2 masters and a PhD.
Of course he does.
Right. He studied economics, statistics, and like IT stuff.
Wow. So what does he do now?
He works for the government, but not like
Not in an intel
not
way.
an agency. No, I don't want to share my dad's personal details, but he works at like a very low key, chill government thing.
Arab parents love government jobs.
Yes, they do.
That's true.
Yeah, stability. What's up?
Ooh,
Right.
yes.
Did you guys ever take Arabic in like the basic like alif ba?
Yeah, I speak Arabic.
But like in like Arabic for English speakers, like the textbook that the people would always get is called Alif Ba.
No.
And it followed the first 2 years, like follow Maha and Khalid. And Maha's dad works for Al-Mutahida, the United Nations. And it's like, now that's a stable job that an Arab would like. And guess what he was? Baba Mutargam. He was a translator.
There it is.
Is this the point where I tell you that my mom worked for the United Nations for 35
Yo.
years?
Get out.
Yeah, she's straight out of the textbook.
Was she a translator?
No.
Okay.
She worked in finances, budgeting.
Okay.
That's wild.
But my uncle was a translator in Switzerland.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this good enough intel for you?
It's good. Yeah, I'm going to do absolutely nothing with any of this except clip it out and put it on the internet.
For trolls to hate.
They're hungry. We need to feed them, feed the trolls. So, okay, where did you guys settle? Was it always California?
No, I'm from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Wow.
That's where I was born and raised. We don't have an accent down there, but that's how I say it.
That's what I imagine.
That's the energy.
We have we're like the, we don't have an accent. That's kind of the Colorado thing, is you're very neutral.
Except Colorado,
Colorado.
right? Because
say
we all say
Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah.
You say Colorado?
I think so.
Yeah. Colorado.
Colorado.
You know what I noticed? I went, is when I moved to the Middle East in fifth grade. And then they were like, apple. And I was like, whoa. I don't sound like that. Do I sound like that? Colorado.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm from Colorado. Yeah, I was born and raised when I was living there. So the university my dad was a student at was in Fort Collins. So all kids were born there. And then I lived most of my life in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Wow. Were there other Arabs there?
Not really. I mean, there was a few. There was this really small community, but it was a lot of very religious, like student transplants from certain countries. And it was like kind of hard for me to connect with the community because in my mind, like the community was like very, not antagonistic, but like, have you ever been around people who are like so close-minded and so religious that it makes you kind of like steer away from the religion? So, but like there was like a couple Iraqi families, but there weren't like a lot of people for me to like feel like I had an actual community of people I hung out with. Like in LA, we have a community of like Arab comedians and people in the entertainment industry and outside of the industry. And I'm like, oh, wow, I had I had reverse culture shock when I moved to LA because I was like, oh my God, there's other minorities here. So, where so much of my identity is from being like the token Arab, brown, like Muslim kid growing up in like a very white city in a very white state.
Did people know that you were different?
Yeah, because when I was a kid, like we'd have like bring your parents to present, and my mom would come in her like jalabiya, and she'd like teach us about like Iraq and like we eat baklawa. Baklawa is similar to baklava. So I would talk about it. I was proud of it, but I don't think people really knew what Arab was, which I think was a good thing. I mean, people kind of knew, but nobody really cared until 9/11. But I, ironically, moved to the Middle East a week before 9/11. So
Wow.
I missed that whole craziness. I instead got reverse racism in the Middle East, being an American in the Middle East. That shit was wild.
It's like we fit in nowhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm too American to be Arab, and I'm too Arab to be American. I'm literally just in no man's land.
And then where were you in the Middle East?
I was in Bahrain. It's a small island. It's like an hour away from Saudi Arabia. Super
Heard of
close
it.
to Dubai. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people haven't.
That's true.
It's it's actually very small. But yeah, we moved there because my dad got a job there. But it was a very tumultuous time because as Americans abroad, I'm sure you've seen with like a bunch of different political issues happening worldwide, the government will issue statements like, hey, Americans, like you might have to come back to the United States or evacuate, et cetera, et cetera. So that happened while we were there. Like we moved and then we couldn't really unpack because the US government was like, we might like mandate all Americans to come back to the United States. Like it's a whole thing. I don't know if mandate's the right word, but like,
Yeah, they issued like an advisory. That
But Bahrain's been historically pretty safe.
open-minded,
Yeah.
liberal, safe. Yeah. I think it was just towards the entire region. So we were kind of living out of our suitcases for a few weeks, just trying to like figure out if we were staying or not. But we stayed for 4 years. And then when I came back, people cared that you were Arab. Actually, I don't know if they really did because I pretended I was Mexican for like a few months until I realized that was a bad idea. And then I just literally one day went back to school and dropped the Chicana accent I had been using. I told you I was good at accents. And so I also like accidentally got into a fight with some Latino gangsters at my school. And so at that moment I was like, I'm actually Arab. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Just stepped out of it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm an Arab with an identity crisis.
Yeah.
I promise. I mean no harm.
We learned about the Middle East in 7th grade, and the teacher gave us a bunch of really wild mnemonics for remembering different countries. And her mnemonic for Bahrain was like, imagine an old man steps out of his house and it's raining, and he goes, Bah, rain.
Huh.
And then for Yemen and Oman, she was like, imagine a man gets on, I don't know why I was always a man, but a man gets on a roller coaster and he's like, yeah, man. And then he goes, oh, man. And I was like, this is really reductive.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that.
That
The
just
Brits
came
did it
up.
better. The Brits did it better. They were like, Austria got hungry, so they gave it a bit of turkey.
Ooh, I've never heard that.
Yeah. Now, this is the accent episode, apparently.
Here it is.
Okay, so you when did you came back to from Bahrain? When? What year?
2005. It's a wild story, actually. So every year, in my dad's contract, we would come back for the summer, right? Because he was teaching at a university. During the summer, they're not in class, and so like they would fly us back to the United States. We'd spend the summers living in America. And also the Middle East is like ungodly hot in the summer. So I've never even spent an actual summer, and I've lived there. So every year we'd come back for summer. And then like one year we came back, and then at the end of summer, my parents were like, hey, so we've thought about it and we want to move back to America. You're already here, so you live here now. School starts Monday. And that was it. They just like moved us without telling us.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So it was crazy. So my dad had to like go back and like try to like shut down the house and like, you know, leave his job and stuff. But and then we had to like buy new furniture. We had to like we had rented out our house, so we had to kick the tenants out of the house and just like restart a life so like randomly. And then like a month or two into my dad going back, he was like, hey, so I don't think I can get out of this contract. I think we made a hasty decision. You guys should actually come back to the Middle East. So then we had to like sell all of the furniture and everything we bought and just go back. And this was when I had the Latina identity. So like when we like went back, I was like, okay, I can just like leave this in the past. And so we went back to the Middle East, had to buy a new house, buy new furniture, buy everything. And then we finished out the school year. Then the next summer comes along and we were going back to America and we're like, hey, you're not going to like pull the same shit twice, right? Like this is just vacation. They're like, absolutely. This is just vacation. And then they did it again. They did it again. They're like, you live here now. And I was like, do you know what kind of a complex this gives a kid? Like, this is probably the reason that I don't have like a close group of friends. Like I have a lot of friends and a lot of acquaintances, but I don't have, besides like my sister, like I don't really have like people I see all the time. And I'm sure it's because of this, because I'm like, this isn't real. This is going to end.
You actually live in this podcast studio now.
Yeah, this is home now. Yeah.
So thanks for...
That might be why you're so comfortable traveling, though, because you travel a lot as a comic.
Yeah, you're right. I do thrive when I travel.
It's a blessing in disguise a little bit, but certainly destabilizing as a child to not know.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think... So when I first moved back, I was kind of like... I did the whole Latina thing. I was kind of weird. I didn't have a lot of friends. When I came back the second time around... I was like, what am I doing? Like, not the Latina thing, but just like, what am I doing? Like
I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. And I just like decided, I was like, why do I have to be uncool? Like, why can't, you know what? Like, I'm just going to be the funny girl. And I like made a decision. I was like, I'm just going to like introduce myself to people. I'm going to be funny. I'm going to da-da-da-da-da. And then I like selected this personality and then did it. And then I got really popular in high school. So it was like, it was a blessing in disguise because... Like I was super nerdy. Like I'm actually like very academic, or I grew up like super like into reading and like AP everything and like, and so, yeah, but when I came back, I was like, I'm going to be cool. And then I just decided to be cool and it worked out. And then I was like, I got voted in my yearbook. I got voted most likely to win a world record in something other than sports. And then you had to fill it in what that would be. And it was in telling vulgar jokes. And I really feel like that was indicative of what I was about to do with the rest of my life.
I mean... something immediately on your bucket list. What kind of world record? Like most F words said in 1 minute or something?
I didn't curse that much, but I would say like racy jokes. I mean, it's kind of like my stand-up. It's edgy, but it's not like over the top.
Oh my goodness.
Were you voted? I was voted most dramatic because I was president of the drama club, not because I was particularly dramatic.
That's funny.
What about
my high school had a weird thing where we had to like write our own. And so mine was...
That's so nice.
Most likely to perform the, like, rim shot for her own punchline. Because I played the drums and I was a little jokester. But in hindsight, I'm like, that felt stupid.
I would have, like, written, like, most beautiful in school. Like, most skinny girl. Or something.
Most likely to make everybody jealous of me.
Cutest Latina.
I love that you just fully leaned into that person, but I mean, it's fitting. It's kind of like the fact that you later on, now you like assume identities in like sketches and in jokes and
yeah, it made it an easy crossover. Yeah, and I do like different characters in my like content, like my TikToks and stuff. So it all makes sense. Do I condone pretending you're another race? No, I do not. But it was a moment.
Did I invent it? Yes.
Like I felt like I had to do it to protect myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's what I told myself, and that's what we'll tell the world.
We accept you here.
Thank you so much.
In that journey.
When did you get from Colorado to California? What was that story?
So I went to, so my whole goal in life, I told you I was like very academic. So I was like, I'm going to an Ivy League school. And Harvard was my dream school. I got in, but I didn't get off the wait list. So, and then I got a scholarship to the University of Denver. I went there instead. And then I graduated a little early. And the entire time I was like, okay, if I can't go to my dream school, then I'm going to work my ass off and make sure that when I graduate, I have a job in entertainment in LA or New York. So I like interned my ass off. I interned at Disney in New York City. I interned at Disney in LA. And I had made the decision that I was a New Yorker and I was going to move to New York. And then my fucking sister, she had already lived here for a couple of years, my older sister. And she's like, just like come party with me and come crash on my couch and then like move to New York later. And I was like, okay, like I'll come move to the West Coast and apply for jobs on the East Coast. And so I moved to LA once she tricked me into coming here in 2013. And I haven't left since.
It's impossible to leave this city.
I can't. I've tried so hard over the years. I'd be like, I'm going to do it. I came close with jobs, but it was like, for some reason, the universe kept me in LA, which is, I think, I'm grateful for.
It suits you.
I like
You're
LA.
doing great. You look
you.
good.
Thank
It only took you
you.
2 hours to get here. No, just kidding. With traffic, no.
I've reasoned I will move to New York once I book like SNL or something like that. Notice the language I used around that. Once I do it. Once someone pays me to fucking move there, I'll move. Because otherwise it's expensive.
A friend of mine, he was in a relationship with a millionaire, and he said he was living in $1 million condo in New York City, and it was still always uncomfortable.
No way.
Yeah.
Because it was small.
Just because the life of New York is just never fully comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, how many square feet? Okay. It was
But I bet
just
it wasn't
the
as
energy.
big as $1 million house, say, anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think $1 million gets you this podcast studio size of a apartment condo because you own it. So what have you been doing in Los Angeles?
It's a very broad question.
Sorry, I'm just trying to do open-ended questions.
Like with
instead
work
of
or with life?
yes or no leading questions. You enjoy your time here in Los Angeles, yes or no?
Yes. Thank you so much. That's actually a great point. You are a lawyer. What do I do here? Well, I live on the West Side. I moved there last year. I love life on the West Side. Actually, I don't recommend it because I don't want people fucking it up. Don't come here. It's wonderful. It's cleaner, minimal crackheads. Love it. What do I do? I feel like I travel. I feel like that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always on the road, either for stand-up or for content creation. And
Where was the last place you traveled?
Arkansas. Heard of it? Not to brag. I was in Arkansas like 4 days ago.
How did they feel about Arabs and comedy?
You
up
know, I don't think they loved it. I'm not sure, but I kind of
they
am.
loved it.
It was one of those moments where it's a very tough and tense political environment right now. And
Why? No, just kidding.
No. And I was like unsure because I was like, wow, my entire set is identity stuff. I don't know how it feels
Right.
for them to be like, oh my God, it's one of them. While I was talking about that stuff. So like the set went, it was fine. But yeah, so Arkansas. So my travels aren't always glamorous. Like, yeah, I go to Dubai. Like that's the last country I traveled for stand-up. I performed in 9 countries.
Wow.
And a bunch of other states.
I don't think I've performed in 9 states.
Honestly, me neither.
You have. Think New York, California,
Washington, Oregon.
I'm counting Washington as Washington, D.C., but I think you're counting it as...
I'm counting it as Washington State.
Okay.
there it is.
But we're both still at 4.
Yeah, I think that's New York and...
DC, Virginia?
No.
Oh.
Ooh, Massachusetts?
No. That's,
Maine? Oh my gosh, I'm upping you.
I just took the time to count it. It sounds cooler when you have a number. But most of us have performed in
does.
several states.
I performed in over 5 states. That's really cool. So when you're not running around creating content, like what's something that you do like to...
You know, it's so funny because I'll do auditions sometimes and then they're like, talk to us and like, tell us what you like to do. Note, please don't tell us that you enjoy acting or doing your art. Like, what do you do outside of that? And I was like, well, bitch, this is all I do. I
Right.
feel like
Yeah.
this industry is so unique in that like you're expected to like marry your work. So it's like if I'm not writing comedy, which actually I'm never writing comedy, but if I'm not at a show, then I'm filming content, or I'm like watching TV as research, or like watching comedy, or it's all comedy. That's all I fucking do with my life. And I don't know if I do anything else. Do you guys do anything else?
I just went to see a collection of short plays. It was like 7-minute plays. And the plays, a lot of them were written by actors. And pretty much every single play
Is about acting.
was somehow about acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's all we know. But then no one wants to hear about that.
But we live in LA. So I was like,
Yeah.
this is relatable to me.
That is true. I enjoy eating out. I do it. I'm a foodie. And
That's a perfectly good answer. I
Thank
think
you.
that's totally fine.
I can't cook. It's not that I can't. I refuse to. I think it's annoying. It's a waste of time. I would rather reheat a meal from Trader Joe's or eat out, which is what I tend to do.
Does this break your mom's heart?
We broke her heart a long time ago. We broke her heart at age
What
10.
heart?
I told my mom when I was 10 years old that I was never going to have kids. And she was like, what did I do for you to not want children? I was like, do you want it like in writing?
Are any siblings having kids?
No.
Uh-oh.
No siblings are married.
Uh-oh.
We're 35, 32, and 30. None of us are married or have children. Or my brother just bought a house, my younger brother. So that's one marker for him. I just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. I feel like that's my marker. That's my baby.
I mean-
Mom.
And yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Was that the moment my parents started believing in my comedy career? Maybe that was it. Once their friends started following me and being like, we love Reem. Then my parents were like, oh my God, we've been proud the whole time. Wow.
It was my idea, actually.
Yeah. Once my dad got TikTok famous, then he's like, yeah, I like this career choice. It was wonderful. Yeah.
I do want to talk about your dad being on your TikTok and how that started. I love it so much.
It's
thank
really,
you.
really fun. I
Thank
love
you.
watching them.
I was talking to him on the way here. He is so funny. He hates that fact that like I'm partially a comedian because of him, because he's so funny and like, but he's also very studious and academic and all these things. So he's layered. But I started making TikToks. So I started my TikTok in the pandemic because all my stand-up shows canceled. I did a lot of college touring. All the shows went away, and friends had encouraged me to do TikTok, and I was like, no, no, this is dumb. And then one friend in particular was like, you just do it. And so I finally just like kind of started, and then I moved back to Colorado just for a year. During the pandemic, we just put our stuff in storage and came out. And that's when I started filming things. And my dad was there, so like I'd like slowly start like putting him in stories and stuff. And then I can't remember the first time I put him in a video, but I started even putting him in like branded content videos. Like
That's so funny.
and he's like, you have to pay me as an actor.
Yeah.
I was like, I will.
He's striking in your apartment.
Yeah. I literally was like, fine, here. He's like, no, I was kidding. I just wanted to see if you would do it.
It's hilarious.
He's so funny. Yeah, he gets recognized more in public than I do, like by far.
Is your mom ever in the videos? I feel like I see your dad.
Yeah. She's in a handful of them, but I film less with her because like she's kind of like my sister who's never in my videos because they're like, I wasn't wearing the right makeup. I can't. And I'm like, I can't throw away content for you because you don't feel like you look pretty. Like so.
And I bet they're both
And they're both pretty.
unbelievably
They're very
gorgeous.
yeah. They're really really pretty. And
Yeah.
So they don't like to be shown in lights that they don't enjoy. But my dad doesn't give a fuck. So him and I are just like.
Well, it is time for our question and answer portion of the podcast.
So the first question is that Cleopatra saw herself as a living goddess, as we all should. So we want to know about a time that you felt supernatural or a skill that you feel that you have that is supernatural and just above and beyond.
Okay.
Or a useless weird talent.
So this is weird. I had this weird thing that happens where if I think about you, and it could be a friend or someone from my past, if I actually think about them, they could pop up. I swear to God, they will call me or text me. And it's something I have started like testing out and showing to my sister. I don't know if it's because like I'm like manifesting something by thinking about it, or I'm somehow tuning into the energy of someone. I don't know what's happening. But if I think about somebody for a long enough time, and I can't be like here, I'm going to make it happen. Because when I really try to force it, it won't happen. But when it happens and I'm like, I wonder if they're going to call me. They call me. It's psychotic. Yes.
Wow.
You're like a white woman witch now. Yeah.
You know, I think it's the courts. I think it really, It just heightened my yeah. But that's a weird
That's
thing
nuts.
that I have.
So, okay, so something I'm learning about you today, which I really admire, is that you sort of see something you want or you want to be, and you just like execute it.
Thank you.
And you're
I
like,
tried.
I'm going to be this. I've decided I'm going to be cool in school, and then I was cool in school, and I did it.
I'm gonna be on SNL.
Thank you for saying that. So I've actually, it's been good and bad. It's good because like I discovered like The Secret and like manifestation, all that stuff in college. And so it's really helped me like broaden my mind to be like, okay, like anything is achievable. I just have to believe I can achieve it. And I've had some weird moments too, where it's like, oh, I'm going to think of this. And then that specific thing happens and it's random. Right. So, but at the same time, sometimes I think I get so hyper focused on like, I want to be on JFL and I want to be like my TV spot and I want this and I want that. And so it's almost like, do I set these goals and do I take away from like the magic of it happening? It's hard to explain. It's like some goals I set my mind to and I achieve, but some I'm so hyper focused on achieving that, it's almost like I'm too focused and so it won't happen. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Right.
As opposed to like having general goals and trying to like work my way towards them and enjoy the journey. I'm like, fuck man, I haven't booked the thing I said I was going to book and it's on my fucking like, it's on my manifestation board. Doesn't mean I'm never going to do it. And then I like spiral.
Right. I think that's the hardest thing is like, they always say like, you think about the what and the universe will take care of like the how or the when sometimes. And when you're too wedded to a timeline, it can get really frustrating, and then you're like, "No, just kidding. I don't have any powers. Everything's stupid."
That's
and
what
then
happens. Yeah.
I read a long time ago in a short story collection by Amy Bender, who you should all read. She said that she learned early on the problem with wishing specific. And I think there's an importance to wishing kind of broadly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Well, when I have like meetings in Hollywood and they ask me like, what's the dream? What's the goal? For me, like, I just want to be funny for money. That's it. Like yes, I want to be on SNL. Yes, I want to have a TV show. Yes, I want to do stand up. I want to sell out theaters internationally. Like I have all these goals, but it's like, as long as I just get to like monetize my personality, dude, I'm chilled. Like that's broad.
Yeah, that's great, I think.
we could all read The Secret and do some mantras after this.
I have an uncle who is psychic in Syria, and when he was younger, people would ask him questions that would be on the tests, and he would know.
No way.
But his whole thing is that he won't do it for money.
Oh, interesting.
But he is, and he will always predict things like when we're getting jobs, and he'll always be right, but within like a month. And he told me I will be working again in January. So fingers crossed, I'll follow up with you.
Amazing.
To see if that comes true.
on Instagram or like how do
He's
we
not. He's so
contact
secret, but
him?
truly.
I've learned a lot about psychics recently, or met people with these abilities, and I believe it's real.
Have you ever been to a psychic?
No, but I've met people who have psychic abilities.
Like you do.
I have the lightest version. The problem is that whole realm, I'm afraid of it. Like, I don't want to accidentally open myself up to something and then be like, uh-oh, now I see dead people. Like,
What's an example of like a friend being psychic then?
I just met this girl. She's not a friend, but I sat with her at a baby shower, and she was like, da-da-da, I'm psychic. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, well, what kind of psychic? And she was like very hesitant to say it, but she's like, ever since I was like a kid, like I will sometimes like see like if there are dead spirits or something. But it was fascinating because she doesn't want it. She like really, she's not like, I see dead people. And she's like, this one time I was at an airport and this like woman said, this man came to me and he was like, tell her not to forget, like I feel like the turtle or something. Like, tell her not to forget like the turtle. And then she was like, I don't want to say anything. And then she went up to the woman and was like, hey, he says not to forget the whatever. And she's like, the woman started getting angry at me. She's like, how do you know about that? And started like having a breakdown. She's like, I don't want this skill. Like it's, you know, but she's like, you know, as I get older, I'm starting to like learn how to control it more and stuff. That's what I don't want, is like something that you can't control happening to you.
How creepy would it be if she's like, God, isn't this such a crowded baby shower? And there's like 2 people there.
That's funny, yeah.
Ooh, that's scary. No, that stuff really does. I do believe in that stuff. That people have weird gifts like that.
I don't think it even has to be like occult or anything. I believe that like everything is energy. And it's just like there's different wavelengths of energy that you can tap into. That's really what it is. Like, do you have a better tool to recept energy? It's not necessarily like crazy shit or like, you know.
Right, you're not necessarily making a sacrifice to the underworld or whatever. But
yeah, exactly.
But anything from my very Christian upbringing, anything that remotely taps into that is like, that's the devil, you know?
Yeah. Somebody was explaining this to me, and they were like, well, okay, so you might be able to attune certain things. And your brain is kind of like a radio. So, you know, you're intercepting certain frequencies, right? So you might be acting based on the idea that whatever you're, you know, intercepting is real. And maybe it has been. But then you run the risk of, like, let's say the devil or whatever, negative spirits, energy, etc., telling you something, and you have no way to verify if it's real or not. And then you act on certain information, and then it is quote unquote the devil. Do you know what I mean? So it's, I don't fuck with it. I stay right here with my, ooh, who's going to text me? That's
Safe psychic.
That's very safe. I love that. I like that you protect yourself. That, yeah, I get like low-key goosebumps whenever I hear something like that. I went on like a church trip to New Orleans once post-Katrina, and they gave us like a big speech where they were like, last year when we went, there was somebody who was like knowing things they shouldn't and asking people questions, and they were like, so just beware, be on your spiritual guard. Anyone could just pop out of nowhere and like know your it was a really weird situation. We have another question for you. Cleopatra.
I knew you were, because I was thinking about you.
Cleopatra was the queen of luxury. What is one luxury item you will, or a bougie thing that you don't skimp on?
Perfume. I am a perfume. I mean, God, that's such an Arab answer.
Yeah.
Ay, cologne. I don't like cheap body sprays or anything like that. So Victor and Rolf, Flower Bomb, all day. But I recently got into Baccarat Rouge, and
I think actually I was with you and Lori at the Comedy Store, and one of you smelled so good.
Oh, okay, that was Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
I've been upping. Like, you thought Macy's was expensive. I had to go to the Louis Vuitton store to get this.
Wow.
It's called Attrape Rêves. It is delicious. It's my favorite perfume.
I used to be such a fragrance person like 10 years ago, and then I just kind of stopped. But
I was told by a lot of like workplaces and such that people are very sensitive to it. So to stop wearing it.
People are little bitches. Is that what they said?
Yeah, exactly.
Attention, we have some bitches at the office, and it's really, they're sensitive. So
have you ever been in an elevator with somebody where you can taste their cologne and you're just like, this is the worst?
If it's too much, that's actually something that we should talk about on this first generation podcast. Men, stop.
So what's your secret to the right amount? Do you do the spray and walk through?
Oh, no. You do one here, and then one here, one here.
Ooh, I didn't know about here.
Yeah. So what you try to do, I learned all about perfumes from my mother. You try to get it right here and right here because it's like pulse. This is the wrong thing, but how it was explained to me was like, it's kind of like pulsation, where your pulse is like the highest. So
yeah.
that's why it gives off like the scent the best, right here, and right here. You're trying to get it on the veins. And when you spray it, you do not rub your hands together because it breaks down the chemical compounds in the perfume. Yep.
I feel like you could teach a class on how to be a woman.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, though, you just assumed my gender.
I did.
You were right,
but don't let it happen again.
Okay. Cleopatra and Mark Antony would wander the streets of Alexandria in disguise and play pranks on innocent townspeople, which we have discussed in depth, was very cruel and odd. Tell us about your best prank played by you or on you.
I just like the idea. Did they have the word prank back then? Like, or is that, what did they call it?
I mean, it would probably be, I don't know what language they were speaking at home, if they were speaking Egyptian or
But there was like a
Greek.
hieroglyphic for prank.
Yeah.
Okay, so the best prank I've ever done was, it's actually one of my most viral videos. So it's called fart spray prank. So I don't know if you've seen on TikTok, they have like this fart spray and it smells like fucking death. It's the worst. You think it's like, okay, it'll probably be stinky. No, it's worse. It's like so much worse. And so my sister ordered it. She's like, we should prank with the parents. And I was like, okay, amazing. So we were living in Colorado for COVID. We were going to come back to LA, and this is the day before we left. So I get the fart spray, and I set up the hidden camera, and I just start like coughing so that like when I spray, they won't know what's happening. We're at like the breakfast table, all enjoying breakfast. And so I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, but you know, you get a new perfume bottle, and like the first few sprays, nothing comes out. So you have to continuously spray until enough juice gets up. Yeah. So I'm spraying and I'm coughing and I'm like, it's not working. Which I later see in the video, I've sprayed like 8 times. You're supposed to spray once.
No.
So, like, and all of a sudden, like, the stank rises up and like, basically, I'll let you guys watch the video. It's gone viral on TikTok and Instagram. But my dad starts trying to figure out what the smell is, and he's just doing it in his like funny Arab dad accent. He's like, "What is it? Is it your breath? Is it your? Did you shit your pants?" And he's like, "Is it the dog?" And he's running around like trying to figure out. He's like, the stink is following me, and it's amazing. It's the best thing. My mom starts throwing up. Like it's a whole.
Your mom threw up
off camera, but yeah.
Wow. Oh, shit.
When I tell you, when I watch this video, I still cry laughing. I've watched it hundreds of times. It doesn't get less funny over time. It's so good. And that's probably my, like, when people tell me, hey, I liked da-da-da video, it's always that video. It's
anything that's like episodic like that, where like things happen in stages.
It was a catastrophe. It was traumatic for everybody involved.
How did you get the smell out?
We had to air out the house for like the entire day. We had to open all the doors and like spray everything. It was terrible. It was so bad.
Were they, so what, when you finally told them, or have you told them?
I told them, yeah, in the video. I was like, oh, look. I was like, you're on candid camera. He's like, candid khara, which means like candid shit. And he's just like mad. He's like, well, he's relieved because he thought, like, in the video, he's like, do you have an infection of some type? No, I don't have an infection. So he's like relieved, but also like, you idiot. Wow. Like, not mad. Like, not like, you know, get in trouble mad. How some parents will start hitting their kids. Yeah. No. He was like kind of entertained.
That's crazy.
How about your mom?
She was like, ugh. Like she had just thrown up. So she's like, wow, oh my God. Like,
wait, where are you on the lineup of siblings? Are you youngest, middle?
I'm middle. Surprise, surprise. We're all middle. Are you middle?
No, I'm youngest. No middle in my family.
Youngest?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's never the oldest who does stand up.
No.
It's true.
It's never the old. You're interesting. I wonder. Yeah, I can't think of any oldest children.
Wait till we get pushback on that. Actually, I'm a stand-up.
You guys need to correct what you're saying.
So ignorant of you. Question: if you're not having kids, where will all your money go? The legacy there.
To my dad.
I like that your dad outlives you in this scenario. Speaking of, we have another question. The ancient Egyptians were often buried with their treasures or worldly items. If you had to pick one item, what would you take into your sarcophagus?
Is it all the perfumes?
No, fuck that. If food, can it be food? Do we eat when we're
Just
dead?
help the decomposition process.
I was categorizing my expenses. It's all food. It's just, which we learned because I don't cook, so that makes a lot of sense. I would just take like delicious small plates with me.
Ooh. On that note, what's your favorite restaurant in LA?
Thank you for asking. It was Gwen.
Okay.
I love steak, so Gwen is amazing. Bestie has a wonderful restaurant. I recently went to 71 Above. That one was cool too. But I think my favorite, I think is Gwen.
On Hollywood, right? Or Sunset? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have another question for you. Cleopatra was a known seductress. What is like a meet cute or a pickup line story that you have?
Okay, so this is, it kind of is the question. It's kind of, I'm answering the prompt, but it's a different prompt. So it's not necessarily a meet cute, but it is a cute, wild story. So I was at Coachella. This is the first year that I went to Coachella. My nickname is now Reemchella because I go almost every year. It's bad. And I go both weekends. Terrible. This is my first year going. Weekend one, I just like went to the festival. And then weekend two, I think I was in my 20s at this point. So I volunteered to volunteer at this booth. And if you did that, then you got free camping. You got like all food and drink was included. Wow. You got free festival passes. And it was so easy. All you had to do was like stand at this booth, and they encouraged people to like collect water bottles to bring them over and recycle them. And then they would win prizes. So all I had to do was like help people count their water bottles and be like, oh my God, you win a t-shirt. And then if you brought in 10 water bottles, you could exchange that for one cold water bottle. So it's a way for them to get free labor and have people pick up trash. Mm-hmm. So I was working at the booth, and this guy comes up and he's like, hey, can I have some water? I'm like really thirsty. And the other people were like, no, you need to collect more. And he had like 3. They're like, that's not enough. And I felt bad for him. I was like, you guys suck. And I was like, here you go. So I gave him some water. And he's like, thank you. And then so we started talking. And then we were like trying to figure out, I was like, where are you from? He's like, oh, San Diego. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I was like, you know, my best friend from college was from San Diego. And he's like, oh, that's crazy. Like, do you know what high school she went to? And then I said the name of the high school. He's like, that's what high school I went to. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Do you know Devin DeGraw? And he's like, yeah, I do. He's like, you know, she's so nice. Cause like when I was doing my college tours, trying to figure out where I was going to go to college, she actually let me stay with her. And I was like, that's great. What year was that? And then he told me the year, and he's like, yeah, her roommate was out of town. And I was like, that was my apartment. He stayed in my bed in my apartment. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
That's a funny. So it's not a meet cute, but it was just like,
No,
I met
that
this
is like
random
a
person.
glitch in the Matrix story.
Yeah, isn't that?
The world is so tiny.
It is so tiny.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anyone you know like in another country and you're like, what?
Yeah,
the
it scares
fuck?
the shit out of me.
Doesn't that like
Has it happened to you?
Yeah, I was in on a train to Granada in Spain.
Wait, that's where I saw the person that I knew.
What?
It was in Granada.
Get
Swear to
out.
God, yeah.
What happened with you?
I was I studied abroad in Spain, and then we took like a class trip down to Granada, and I was like in a hotel lobby, and this girl that I knew from high school was like, "Oh my God, Reem!" I was like, "What the fuck?"
On the train.
Not on the train, but in Granada.
Okay. I saw him on the train. So it's like of all the trains to Granada in all the world,
That's crazy.
it was really weird. And I feel like that's how I feel like there is something spooky and spiritual happening in the
Everything's
world. Like
connected.
yeah. But it's just too much of a coincidence.
I ran into a guy from my gym at the airport in Bangkok.
Whoa.
But the ironic thing is he won't say hi to me in Los Angeles if I see him in the street.
There
So
it
he
is.
certainly did not say hi to me. At
He
the airport.
didn't?
No, didn't even look at me.
well, technically, you didn't say hi to him.
Yeah, exactly.
So who's the real
But
aggressor?
we're like walking across the street. He's notorious at the gym for being nobody's favorite person. We will be walking across the street and I'll be like, hey, and he'll just keep walking.
Oh, he's one of those.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Deny.
Yeah. And now it's time for a segment called Dig Deep.
So this is where we ask our serious questions. The first one is, Cleopatra was famously played by Liz Taylor in the 1963 movie. If your life were a crossover episode of 2 films or TV shows, what would they be and who would play you?
It'd probably be a crossover between Family Guy.
No one said a cartoon yet, and I love that.
Family Guy and The Office, I think.
Ooh, okay.
Because I spent a lot of my life working in an office before I left and started doing weird shit. Like Family Guy. See what I did there?
I love that.
Yeah.
What character resonates with you in either?
On either of them? Michael Scott. Michael Scott's my favorite fucking character in all of life. I love it. Like, I will choose to rewatch episodes of The Office instead of watch new TV. That's how much I love The Office.
Because you intern so much.
Well, no, because when I didn't start stand-up when I first went to LA. I was working, remember I told you I interned at like movie studios? So I worked in movie marketing for a while. So in fact, part of the reason I became a comedian was, to follow my dreams, but also like, I was thinking about this recently. I used to just like sit there in like this tower in Burbank and just like stare out the window. And I was like, I just wish that I could get the fuck out of here and like do anything, like work at a coffee shop. I don't know, like see the world. And so part of it was I was like, I want to travel. And with stand up, you can like book shows and travel. And so, but I just feel like just the zaniness of The Office, especially like hanging out with my dad. My dad is also Michael Scott. So like, and then I just have like really random shit happen in my life at all, twists and turns. So that's the Family Guy aspect.
Christy did say that Stanley Tucci could play her. So if Steve Carell is who would play you, we are open to that.
Kate McKinnon
Yes.
would play me.
There we go.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
So final question.
Okay.
Cleopatra left a storied legacy as a queen scientist and scholar. What do you want your legacy to be? Or what would you like to be remembered for the most? Alternatively, what would your epitaph read?
Well, I am one of very few female Iraqi comedians, or I guess like personalities in Hollywood. So I feel like I kind of want that to be my legacy, is like kick down the door for a lot of like other Arab or Muslim female comics, but also like to kind of be, you know, a representative. I don't want to say like a representative of my country because I didn't spend a lot of time there. So, but I do think it's cool to like be one that like broke through and, you know, be that for my people. That'd be cool. And then I want to be remembered for all the money I made. So like I want that and all the followers I had and all the influence. No, I just want to like be impactful. I don't know. And like help. It sounds silly. It sounds like such a generic answer to be like, oh, like, you know, growing up, I never saw people who look like me on screen, which is true. Cause like, I couldn't even think of someone to play in my life. Yeah. So I hope to be part of like that change of just making it not being like, oh, finally like a funny woman comedian, and just like have that kind of go away and just even it out. It's like you're just a comedian and be part of that.
Cool.
Excellent. I love that.
Sweet.
What would you like to plug or promote?
Oh, well, just follow me on the socials. Everything at Reem Edan, REEMEDAN. Instagram, TikTok.
She's a great follow.
Thank you.
This has been Cleopodtra. Thank you so much for joining us. I've been Christy Bana.
I'm Lynn Molly.
And I'm Reem Edan. Oh, I got to... Okay, good.
Until next time, goodbye.